Welcome to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits podcast. Today we have my man JAMISON here with us. Pretty much an OG in the Amazon space. One of the first people, your old Rake and Profit interviews, Roma the Romer interviews back in like 2019. Some of the first content I ever watched on Amazon, but pretty cool stuff. Does over 7 figures a year. Retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, and wholesale. So we kind of got the whole sphere of the arbitrage space and all that. But thanks for being here with us, man.
I appreciate you guys for having me. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of walk us through maybe your background, how you got into Amazon and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I started Amazon like 7-8 years ago. I was a server at Buffalo Wild Wings. That was my last like real job that I had. I got fired for texting. And during that time, I was into drugs and stuff, pain pills. I went to rehab 4 times, in and out of rehab for a couple of years. And then when I finally got clean after the 4th time in rehab, I couldn't find a job anywhere. So pretty much for like 3 years, I literally played World of Warcraft in my basement like a bum. And after I got sick of living that way, I tried to find a job, couldn't find a job anywhere. Nobody would hire me. I went down to I was applying for like Target, stocking shelves, pushing carts at Walmart for $8 an hour, get an interview, no call back, interview, no call back. And then at the time I was kind of part-time on eBay, just selling a few things. And one day I was like, oh, I'd been selling on eBay, for like 10 years, just part-time, goofing off a couple things here and there. And one day I was like, oh, I should see if there's any reselling videos like on YouTube or something. I never thought to Google that or YouTube that. And I typed in reselling. And I actually found Raken, and I started watching Raken, back when he would go on live, he'd get 5 or 6 people watching him. And then I joined his Facebook group, the Green Room. And I kind of learned through FBA, through all of that. And then kind of just grinded it out, and which was awesome because I became really good friends with Raken through that too, which is cool. And we're still good friends today. But yeah, I started FBA with a couple $100. It went horrible. I think I bought this guy's list right when I started, and I bought a bunch of stuff from the Disney store, lost money on it, and would go back to the thrift store to build up the money again and keep buying, and kept grinding it out. And every time I would build up a little bit, I think after a year and a half, I got my payouts to $2K every 2 weeks, which was the most money I'd ever seen in my life. And I had some issues with my mom too. She was into gambling and pills. And at the time we shared a bank account because I couldn't get a bank account because of my past with the pills. I overdrafted every bank account I ever had. I had creditors after me. So I had to use a bank account with her name so they wouldn't come in and garnish my checks or my Amazon payouts. And she started spending my payouts before they even came, losing money at the casino. So every time I would build up a couple grand payouts, I'd get dropped back down to nothing. I have to keep rebuilding. And it was tough. And I just kept sticking with it. And finally, after just 2020 was the first year I did 7 figures. And it was just grinding it out. So yeah, now we're here.
So in those thrift stores, were there certain products that you were looking for? You just kind of scanned everything?
Yeah, I would scan everything sealed, everything board game related, Harry Potter, those types of things, Lord of the Rings type stuff, games, even if they were used, and they were all back then, a lot of people we sold used board games with, as long as they had all the pieces, then you'd have no problems. Anything sealed, scanned, back when the heyday when you could sell HP.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. I was just going to bring that up. Because I remember that from a video. I think it was a video that you were in of Steve's that he was talking about that. And now, dude, it's crazy. It's coming back. You're one of the first people I followed in all this. Talk me through the road trip stuff. Cause I know I definitely remember watching a video about your road trips.
Yeah. I met through the Green Room, Resale Rabbit. I don't know if you guys heard of him.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Dude,
Yeah.
OG,
yeah.
Really back now.
Awesome guy. We met through the Green Room, and he traveled a lot doing thrifts. And at the time I was living in Nashville, and I invited him to come stay with me. He stayed at my house for a week. And I actually got the idea of traveling from him because he used to thrift. And I was like, why doesn't anyone do RA trips? And so I started doing that, going around the surrounding Nashville areas. And then when I was living in Minnesota, I'd go to Iowa and Nebraska and go for a weekend. And I would stay in these super sketch, trucker hotels for $26 a night, where you have to barricade the door. You're like, there's like 50 trucks up there. People are selling meth. There's prostitutes around. You're dragging up board games and stuff like that. So I slowly started to build like doing that. And then the trips became longer and longer. And then I would go on the road for, a month, 2 months. I think my longest stint was like 9 months on the road during when Toys R Us was liquidating, closing. I would travel back and forth and hit every Toys R Us from coast to coast. And then, I've done some trips with Rakin. We've, met on the road and then just met up with other resellers and stuff like that who also travel, which was a lot of fun for like networking and making friends and stuff too.
Yeah, and you ran into Taylor at a Target in Vegas or something, right?
Oh man, yeah. So this was like a year and a half ago. I'm walking into Walmart sourcing, and I'm coming up on a big giant pallet of inner tubes, like $4.97. And I don't know, like being in the game so long, you just have the experience of just sensing when something's not right. So I'm walking up to this pallet. There's a box on the floor that's like somebody had opened up to see. I had a feeling like I looked at there's an open box on the floor, and I'm like looking around, like there's another reseller here. So I went and grabbed 4 carts real quick. I just knew it. I had a feeling they grabbed that box to see how many of those inner tubes they could fit in the box. So I went and grabbed 4 carts, loaded them up to the top, and I'm sitting here like I'm using a 4-door sedan at the time, and I'm sitting here like Googling what's the square footage of this. Okay, what's the square footage of this item? How many can I fit in the car? I'm trying to do the math real fast before the other reseller comes, and I'm able to like get my 2 carts up, run back, grab the other 2 carts, pay for them, and I'm like loading up my car in the parking lot. And around the corner, this Taylor comes, and he actually parked right next to me. He's like, "Hey, do you sell on Amazon?" Like, he's like all giddy and happy, like, and I'm like, "Yeah, I do." Blah 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 blah. And then like we became friends, like we were cool, and then like we hung out a few days later in the coffee shop for a few hours. And then he lived in New York, and I lived in Jersey at the time. And I invited him down. He came down, and we stayed at my house for like 4 or 5 days, and we went shopping, sourcing, and we just became good friends after that. So that was pretty cool.
And you're like living in Vegas or something right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Vegas right now.
You were mobbing around Florida sourcing after like the past week or so, right?
Yeah, after the Miami event, I rented a car in Turo and just sourced in a big circle.
That was my next question. Did you get a big car specifically, or were you just like doing shit as you were going?
So when I was trying to find a car with tinted windows, so that way I could load up the inventory.
This man, like you see, he's been in the game. You guys hear that? Like that's a pro tip.
So that was the only car that I could find under $100 a day that had tinted windows. So it was a Honda Civic hatchback, which fit a decent amount of stuff.
You could fit a bunch in there if you're.
Yeah, so I made it work, and I met up with other resellers on the way. Like I would stay at their houses, but use their little warehouses to ship, so that they helped me ship too. So it was super awesome just traveling and sourcing, and then being able to ship on the road from friends' houses and stuff.
There's some awesome outlets down in Florida, aren't there?
I suck at outlets so bad. I literally go, I don't find any, I don't do much clothes and shoes because it's a foreign language to me.
And interestingly enough, yeah, toys is the opposite with me. But yeah, let's talk on that though. What categories do you specialize in?
I'm probably majority toys. I am branching out slowly, but I've literally been majority toys for like the past 8 years.
Okay. So logistic wise, when you're in store, are you using the Keepa app? Are you just using Inventory Lab or the Seller app? Like, what's your thought process when you're scanning items, and then how do you use that information and then make that decision whether you purchase it or not?
So when I source toys, I just kind of like since I've been selling toys so long, it's pretty easy to kind of keep track of what's fading out and what's coming in. So I try to stick to rare toys, discontinued stuff. So I research like when I'm traveling, like regional stores that are regional to an area, say like an Ollie's or something like that, like a smaller chain store. And I'll literally run through the toy section real quick. I'll scan anything that like looks unique or different. But other than that, I pretty much just I'm loading up the cart with things that I actually know is good and rare. And I literally just go through, I'm in and out of the store. Like if I hit a Target, like I'm in and out in 10 minutes, I literally go to the toy section, look for anything rare. And then if I know there's unmarked clearance, I'll grab that and then hit the video game section, and then I'm out. So I can hit a lot of stores. I'm not in them very long, and I just stick to mostly rare, discontinued stuff that is hard to find. So I find less items, but I get a higher ROI.
So you're going into the stores pretty prepared.
Yeah. So I use Keepa a little bit, but usually since it's a discontinued toy, I already got an idea. I'll also pick up toys that I know had just been discontinued, but maybe they aren't profitable quite yet. When I'm home, or if I'm, I can ship it home, I'll do that. I'm focusing on long-term holds too, 3 to 12 months. Trying to grow that side of the business as well.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
my next question, was whether you were doing mostly holds or mostly quick flips. And it sounds like majority quick flips, but you definitely don't discriminate against stuff that is going to be a really good ROI in the future.
Definitely.
Yeah, and what would be it, just being that you're toy heavy, like what percentage of your sales happen in like December and November? Like, is it a large portion?
I would say the total of Q4 is about 50% of my sales.
That makes sense. Yeah. Hopefully that ends up being my reality this year too. But we'll see, because this is pretty much only my first year really going hard with stuff. Definitely. And in terms of OA, wholesale, or RA, we've touched mostly on RA thus far, but which is your favorite and which makes up the largest portion of your business?
My favorite is RA by far, because I like the thrill of the hunts. But being in Vegas, I don't really do much RA because it's tough. It'll take me 8 hours to hit 10 stores, and it's like out here I'll be lucky if I drop $500-$600 in a day. So I avoid that here. I do a lot of OA, which is probably the majority of my business right now since I moved here. It's not enjoyable, because it's not like you're finding rare stuff. You're like out in the field and like doing it, but I'm doing that, and then I'm building up the wholesale side of it. And that's kind of got me into the long-term holds with toys too. Buying wholesale and like being able to hold them for a while and then sell them when everybody runs out. So yeah, RA definitely is by far the most enjoyable.
Sweet. Cool. Yeah. And one thing I think that's very important that I've kind of been finding a good way to really help other people do it, but is like networking and meeting other resellers and stuff. And that's been something that's super valuable for me. And well, we all really wouldn't be here without that and everything. So I'm curious, your thoughts on, not necessarily like we all can agree it's super valuable. I'm sure we'd all say the same thing, but more so what tactics you've used, if anything, and how other people that are listening can go ahead and implement it. Because I think most people are sleeping on getting out and meeting other resellers and all that. And I'd love your thoughts on how to go about and get started doing it, especially if someone's shy or something like that.
Definitely. Yeah. Before I started Amazon, I was like a hermit. Like I literally, if I said hello to you, I'd probably like crawl in a shell and go die somewhere. Like I was the most awkward, weird kid. Like we wouldn't have a normal conversation. I would make it awkward as hell for sure. And so I started like researching like how to like get out of that shell. And I actually stumbled across a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie, yes, sir. Yep.
Read that book 5 times and like just tried to master everything in that book and follow everything in that book that it said. And I went to like one of my first, I started going to the green room meetups back in 2016, 2017. And I would practice the book, talking to people, making conversations, whether I'm in like at a Target or a Walmart with a cashier, just practicing those things. And one of my favorite quotes from the book is he says, you can make more friends in 2 months by being interested in what other people are doing than you can in 2 years being interested in what you're doing. And he just basically teaches you how to ask questions and actually listen for the sake of listening, and like genuinely get to know and connect with people, and like try to leave people better off. Like, as he says in life, there's no neutral transactions. You either leave people better off or worse off. And so he teaches you how to like connect with people and leave them like wow, like that guy was awesome. I want to hang out with him. I want to be his friend. I want to meet him again, So implementing a lot of things from that. And then obviously all the self-development and business books and, learning about Amazon and stuff like that, just to kind of get out of the shell. And that's kind of how slowly I became to be coming into being able to network and make friends and stuff.
Yeah. And How to Win Friends, that book's from like the 1940s or something, right?
Yeah, it's really old. Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's like, it's very timeless and stuff, all that carried and translated over. Because the difficult thing is that, right, like none of this Amazon stuff existed, or at least was anywhere close to, well, I wouldn't even call it mainstream now, but relatively mainstream, even something that was a viable career for a lot of people, like it is now, right, as we're able to take advantage of, right? So no one really knows about it that isn't doing it or trying to do it and everything. So it makes it really hard to, have friends around it and stuff. And that's why like social media is so important. And the meetups and stuff are great too. Yeah, because I've heard nothing but good things about Romer and Taylor's event. I actually went to the first one back in August, and so I'm really excited they got that going on as well. And in terms of OA sourcing, what methods are you using for all that stuff?
For OA sourcing, I use Keepa a lot. I do a lot of Amazon to Amazon flips.
Oh, let's talk about that though, because I'm like really sus about doing that, to be honest. Like, I'm just, dude, like, I mean, just with anything, a lot can go wrong, but with that, I'm like really sus. So can you kind of give us some of the sauce on how that works?
Yeah, definitely. Make sure I have a business account set up, non-prime, for all my buying.
So so business non-prime, email the same as your seller account.
No, different email.
Different email, same address.
Same address.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So they are relatively cool. They're, as long as you're following the rules, they're cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for 4 years.
Oh,
I've never had any issues.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
You know, I've even gotten, you know, inauthentic claims from customers, and the Amazon invoice screenshot to Amazon.
Right. They better take that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's going fine. What I started getting into this is that a few years, like 2 years ago, I was chilling at home one night and I was like deleting old toy listings. I just kind of like were inactive, and I was just clicking on some of them because like I would scroll through and I would see like, oh, I remember I found that at Toys R Us, blah blah blah. I found, like, get all excited about the memories when I found the item, and I started clicking on them, each one, and looking at the Amazon listing and see how much the price had shot up in like a year or 2 year of me selling this toy. And so then I was just like, I should just start setting keep alerts on all of this stuff. Like, so one night I just started setting keep alerts. I would click on the old toy from the Amazon Seller Central, go to Keepa, the Amazon page, click a Keepa alert, and I just started doing that. I added like 300-400 things over, you know, for like a week. And then on top of that, when I clicked on this rare item on the Amazon page, I would scroll down and it says people who bought this also bought this, this, and this. So then I would click on those items and go look at the Keepa graph. And I started just adding all these Keepa alerts. I got up to like, I'm at like 11 or 1,200 Keepa alerts. And after maybe a month or two of doing this, like I started to get Keepa alerts on items that were like Amazon had been out of stock for a year, sometimes even 2 years. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Like, so I started adding more Keepa alerts and like going after it. And like some of these items, Amazon would come in with like 300 or 400 units, like out of nowhere. And I would like buy them out and then they would never come back again. And so I started doing that, and I've really like that's the majority of how I do my OA is just keep alerts from Amazon and stuff that they've been out of stock for like, you know, a year or 6 months or 2 years. And like they'll randomly come back in stock, like they found a truckload or a pallet or something of it somewhere, and I'll buy it out real quick if they let me. If not, I'll buy the max limit, and it's been going good doing that so far.
That might be one of the single most tactical best pieces of what 1 minute we've done. I think this is the 57th episode or something, but that was the most simple, straight to the point. And one thing, just for people who don't know, what are Keepa alerts?
Which Keepa actually just got an app, I think last year. You set an alert on an item, and like literally you get a notification on your phone
if it's in stock.
If it's in stock, and literally I buy everything right from the phone. Sweet. Like we were actually when we were at the Miami meetup, I actually had a Keepa alert on a Jurassic World item that Amazon usually comes in stock for $65. Amazon came in stock while we were during the meetup, and it's like I clicked in, boom, bought all 161 units they had in stock, and I'm selling them now for 140.
Yes, like, sir. All right, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, that was.
So these Amazon are these longer term plays? Like when you buy an item, what's your perception in terms of how long you would want to sit on them before you have to then send them back to Amazon?
The majority of the Amazon stuff I've been able to sell right away. Once in a while, you'll get that issue where like Amazon was out of stock for 2 years. They come back in with a few hundred, you buy them, and then they come back in with freaking thousands and never sell out. I actually just had that happen on an LOL toy that I'm on. I was buying these LOL toys from Amazon for 60. They would sell out right away. I was flipping them for 200, and then like 2 weeks ago, Amazon came in with 1,000 of these things, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, do I buy them all? Like, what do I got to do here?" Like, because I'm selling these for 200.
The energy, I love it.
And I bought 250 of them, and like a few days went by, and they still hadn't sold out. Then they got down to like 100 units. I'm like, all right, sweet, it's going to sell out. And now we'll fast forward to now, it's like 2 weeks later, and they still have 1,000 plus. So that, like, thankfully, I was able to cancel my order. I was able to cancel 200 of them. I still got the 50, so now I'm going to be stuck holding those 50 until Amazon runs out. So that's like, you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Like, it's a good toy. I know long term Amazon won't keep in stock, and it will go back up to that price. but sometimes they come in and it's like they just don't seem to sell out. Like they found a whole truckload of these or something, and now so I'm stuck holding 60, a few thousand worth of inventory on that SKU for a while.
Mhm.
Are you using a prep center, or are you doing all your own prep?
I do use a prep center for the majority of my OA. Probably like 90% of my OA, I use a prep center in Missouri. Showcase Prep I use.
I see. Yeah, you
They've been
had
great.
plugged them on the gram. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been great.
They even gave him the merch too. That man had the coffee in the
They sent that to me for Christmas,
cooler.
actually.
That's love. And in terms of just one last question on the A to A stuff, when you buy something non-prime, so you have to pay shipping and it takes longer.
If you spend enough, you won't. It'll be free shipping. It's
Nice.
just like
Nice.
5 to 8 business days or whatever.
So it's still pretty much normal times for
Exactly. Yeah.
But the key is not using Prime. That's the key.
Yeah.
That
And
Definitely.
I assume you have it selected on, like, when you make a business, I think I tried to once or something, you can let them, you can choose not to be prime and pay or not pay whatever, $100 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they keep like sending the thing to sign up and I just say no every time. I don't want to do it. And then it's been fine ever since. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So besides Keepa, tell us about the other tech software that you use for your business.
Oof, man, I'm probably 10 years behind all of you guys with all that stuff. Besides like Inventory Lab for my shipments, like I just found out about unlisted inventory like a month ago. Like that's how like behind I am. Like
wait, what's that though? Because I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Oh, okay. It's like a lot of the big sellers. So like this is for like people that are doing like long-term holds or have like a lot of replens. I'm still new. Like I'm still learning how to use it, but I have a lot of long-term holds. And basically you go in and create a batch, you leave it unlisted, and you're able to scan everything and print labels for it.
I've heard about that.
Box it up.
Yeah.
And then you put a label on the outside of the box. And then when you're ready to do a shipment, you scan the outside label, boom. And it's like, you're pretty much done at that point. So you're doing up all the work now. So that way, when like Christmas hits, you literally just slap labels on these boxes and ship them out.
That's really cool.
So I'm working on that because I have a lot of stuff that's just like sitting in the storage unit, disorganized. And like, so I'm working on that. But yeah, Inventory Lab, and then my repricer, I use Seller Snap, which has been amazing. Besides that, I don't really use many softwares. I don't think, besides Keepa. That's it. Like I said, I'm really old and stubborn when it comes to that.
Yeah, and no VAs or employees?
I have a VA that she hasn't started yet. Like we're just setting stuff up, but she's going to be doing bookkeeping stuff for me, and no employees.
Cool. Nice and lean and everything. And in terms of like, because you scale quickly, right? In terms of like getting capital and such, like, are you mostly like, do you use any credit or any like Amazon lending or any of that type of stuff?
Yeah, I use credit, and I have done Amazon lending in the past. So yeah, I use that, and then I just flip it, and then I'm doing a lot of credit too. Just I just started getting into credit cards like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, because my credit was shot after the whole drug thing and getting sober. Like my credit score was like 400, so I finally built it up to like 700 where I can actually get approved for credit cards now and actually earn some points and earn some money, that way. So I'm still building that up. But yeah, I just started getting into that recently, and Amazon lending I do too once in a while.
And what credit cards are you using?
Right now, the Spark card.
That's the best one, man.
Yeah.
Best one. You got big limits and you got the best benefits possible.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. I got the Plum card also, which I use a lot. And then once if those cards happen to be maxed out or whatever, like I got the Chase Sapphire too, which is kind of cool too. Not quite as good beneficial wise, but it's still it's all right.
And it looks cool too.
It does, yeah.
You need to make the Capital One card metal for it to get
nice
and clean. So in terms of like you seem to be a little bit more selective with sourcing types of items, and you're probably dealing with a lot of stuff that isn't replenishable. That's kind of what I'm picking up more. So one-off opportunities, which obviously naturally end up being higher ROI stuff. And because you dig more than a lot of people, you probably don't deal with a ton of competition. At least like people who are chasing bullos, and that comes from like being in categories that are gated and then buying from places other people aren't, and all that.
Do you deal with a lot of compliance issues?
I did have a few issues with some wholesale items, but we did get the paperwork and stuff for them to get set up. There was probably like 10 SKUs I wasn't able to get it for that I was fairly deep on. And I just removed I have an eBay guy that sells my stuff on eBay for me. And I just had it removed to him if it's an issue or whatever. And then we just, split it after whatever I liquidated on eBay. So yeah, there was probably a few hundred, items that I wasn't able to move with the issues with those.
Yeah, that's actually one of the questions we get a ton, is asking about like a specific toy, like an FDA requirement or child, you know what I'm talking about, those sorts of policies.
Yeah. So like the stuff that I'm deep, like stuff that I have like 5-10 units of, like I'm not going to go through the hassle of like spending the money to get the paperwork, or like stuff I'm like 500 or 1,000 deep on. Then like we'll reach out to the wholesaler and see if they can help us out, or if they can get that info. Sometimes they can. If not, there are companies out there that will like actually do the paperwork for you. They charge like $300 to $800 or whatever per listing or whatever.
Kind of shifting gears a little bit to the wholesale business sector that you were referring to. What is your strategy as you start to build that up in terms of reaching out to new brands and suppliers? Who are you reaching out to? How are you finding the leads? And what's kind of your strategy in talking to them?
So for ASD, like ASD is the only wholesale whatever type of event that I've gone to for that. Literally, we go the morning of that they open, and we go there like prepared, ready to spend money. I have a group of 2 to 3, 4 people, and like we go to the booth and say like, we see what they have, see what kind of pricing they can do, and like we're interested in spending money. We're not here to buy 10 units. We will buy out all the items you have, this item. And usually you can build a relationship very quick that way. If you can set up, say, if you don't have a lot of money, find 4 or 5 other people, 4 other people that you can at least do a buyout on. So that way they're not like selling 10 units to 1,000 people. They're selling 10,000 units to 5 people or something like that. So that way you at least have an idea of where the inventory is. And literally I've done like one, like I'll go into a booth or whatever, and I've done one deal, we'll do one deal with that. And after that creates a big enough wave with them where they start texting you and calling you personally, not sending you email list or texting you like, hey, I just got this. We haven't even put on the email list. Are you interested? And we've made some good connections that way. Like we bought some JAMISON products. I don't know if you guys heard of those guys, Toy People. They sell a lot of fluff, but they do, if you sift through it, you can find good stuff. Last year we bought a Bop It game from them, me and 3 other friends. They had like almost 20,000 units of these things, and like we bought all of them from them. Like after that first deal, like now they text us like privately, like, and
I would hope so.
Yeah, facts.
So like so that's how I've gotten my connections of like buying wholesale and stuff like that. Is just creating a good wave and just going there like prepared to spend money. They want to deal with people that spend money. And I've become friends with some of the distributors, and they'll tell us that what the knowing things they find. Like they'll talk about how the news Amazon sells will come up just to exchange business cards and stuff like that. And it's like some of these wholesalers, like they don't, like, your thing's gonna go in the garbage. Like they've got 10,000 of these business cards. Like they want you to buy from them. They want you to buy a lot, not like 5 of this, 10 of this, like,
Right.
And they'll be like, oh gosh, she's got like I'm good friends with one of the toy guys there. And he's like, I don't even like coming here anymore. Cause it's like, I'm so sick of dealing with 50,000 business cards and people just buying 10 products from me. Like, buy all my products, blah, 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 blah. Like, so I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do when I go.
From a preparation perspective, are you seeking out liquidation companies or just toy companies in general?
Just toy companies in general. We try to try to stick to like the items that are discontinued or
Right.
about to be discontinued, and then just buy everything they have, just to kind of limit competition and stuff like that. It's kind of where we focus our buys on ASD from.
And are you acquiring the catalog before the event, and then you show up with a couple SKUs that you have in mind, and then you work on the price when you get there, or are you getting the catalog on day 1, going back on day 2, and then kind of negotiating at that point?
We pretty much go in day 1 and look at what they have on the shelves, ask if they have anything else under the table that they haven't put out yet. Do you have any new products that are at the warehouse that you guys aren't advertising here? And we'll look at it. We'll look at Keepa. We'll you put our expertise together, and we'll buy right there on the spot. Like, we won't give anybody an opportunity to make a buy or buy any of it. We'll buy right there within 5-10 minutes or 20 minutes if we can figure out if we can get the capital together and make a deal. And then if they can give us a good price point off of what they're advertising, we'll buy right there on the spot. And like when then we'll be like, all right, take this item off the shelf. Like, or like they'll give us the showpiece, like take it off. We don't want anyone else asking about it. Like we want to buy all of them. And then they're like, all right, cool, we got you, paperwork, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, and that kind of squad buying mantra is a mantra Garrett and I and like the other guys we do this stuff with like did last year when we were just getting started. And that was cool because like when you combined, it's not necessarily like the one item, it's like the knowledge, the stuff that comes up of the I send you this because I know they'll send me, vice versa and all that stuff. And that's pretty cool. And I assume those are relationships that have been built probably over years that have and that's the thing, you probably vibe with them on a personal level too, you know what I mean? It's not just Amazon, and like
exactly.
That's the beautiful thing about all of it.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your day-to-day looks like when like, let's do maybe not traveling and then while on the road, like sourcing that kind of stuff.
Let's see, for traveling, I'm all over the board. Never really know what's going on. Like for the Florida trip, I flew out there, got a one-way ticket. And I didn't book any hotels, any Airbnbs. I literally am like on the plane. I'm like, hey, Avery, can I sleep on your couch? Sure. All right, cool. Like, like literally took it day to day. And then the last day I was sharing a hotel with Steve, and he left that morning, and I had to check out at the hotel at like 10 or 11. It's like 10 in the morning, and I had no hotel, no car, no nothing. So I was like, I guess I could rent a car. So it's like on the road, it's very sporadic. And like, I love, I don't know why I love uncertainty. Like I love not knowing what's going to happen next, and like the spur of the moment planning for that. So like my trips are all over the board, but like to me, that makes them fun. When I'm home, it's very like, I'm very, more organized, like I focus a lot like on my health and stuff, and like fitness and like eating good, because like when you're on the road, I'm constantly eating out. We're staying out late, we may be drinking or staying out till 5 in the morning. So at home, I try to like, I really just like embrace taking care of myself, juicing, drinking a lot of water. And then like I'll if I have products to ship, or if I have like I'll receive pallets at the house sometimes. I'll ship out the pallets, or like bring pallets to the storage unit where I hold them. And it's just pretty much, like, or if there's like a sale going on, I'll get up early in the morning and I'll shop and I'll find what I can. Like Target had a sale last week. I hit for a couple of days, the 25 off 100 toy thing. So I was, shopping, and it's like the very just like typical 9 to 5 kind of thing. Just, working out, eating right, just kind of like very just chill, and like I'm more mellow and just like being able to relax and just not live so fast paced. It's really nice.
Did you end up getting in the ice bath?
No, we didn't have time, or like Avery sleeps so late. Like me and Taylor would wake up.
He's
like this dude like sleeps like all day. Like we were out to like the first night I got there, like we were out to like 6 in the morning, and like the next day, like I slept late the next day. I slept till noon, which was because we were out till 6, and like Avery didn't get up till like it's like 5 p.m. by the time he woke up. Like me and Taylor like had worked out at the gym. We walked 2 miles. We went to the freaking grocery store, came back, and we're still sitting there twiddling our thumbs waiting for him to wake up, like because he wanted the ice bath, and we just never got around to it, unfortunately.
And you were on the online arbitrage panel at
yeah
like that. Sweet. So you were spitting some game on that as well. That's a beautiful thing, definitely. And in terms of like just beginner tactics, like it seems like you learned over a long time and all that. Like, what would you do differently if you could start over again to get where you are now quicker?
I would. One thing that I freaking sucked at, and I'm still working on it, is like not saving, but like investing more money back into the business. Like I screwed up so bad when it came to that. Like as my income grew, so did my spending habits. So it was like I would spend, way more than I should have as I was growing. And so like sometimes I got myself into trouble, like I wouldn't leverage my credit correctly, and like I would get turned upside down on the credit card or a loan in the past I've done. And it was because like I started making more money. I'm like just spending more money on dumb stuff, food or clothes or stupid trip. Like I really wish, like that's one thing I wish I could go back and fix, is like slap myself to be like, dude, like,
I mean, your income's great now, so you have some serious firepower to really do some good stuff, like that was necessary to get here. That's
so
like about it.
My spending habits for sure, like, like just stupid things like back like a year ago when I was really bad with Uber Eats, I would spend like $2,000 a month on Uber Eats. Like it's like, so I've cut that down to just a couple hundred a month now. Like, so like stupid things about just blowing money on dumb, meaningless stuff that doesn't even matter is like probably like my biggest downfall of like Amazon business. I wish I was better with my money, investing it better too, and things that actually matter outside of Amazon for sure.
Sweet.
As we start to wrap up here, a lot of the people we interact with are in the Amazon game 2, 3, maybe 4 years. You're obviously someone who's been in the game for 8, 9 years. What are some of the biggest differences in terms of Amazon now compared to Amazon 8, 9 years ago, apart from just the obvious more popularity saturation aspect of it?
That's a really good question. I like that. Man, starting Amazon when I started, there was like literally, I think there was like Steve that made YouTube videos, which I didn't find, till way later, but like there was no courses. There was no like Discord groups or like, tons of buy lists. Like I think I found one of the like probably 2 or 3 people that were selling lists back then, which was very rare to even do people to do that. So like a lot of the learning was all trial and error. Like everything was just like scan, and if it looked good on the seller app, I would just send it in. Like there was like I didn't know if Keepa was around back then. It might have been. If it did, I didn't know about it. So it was literally just scan, send stuff in, and I would go in and manually reprice my items. Like I think I didn't even know what a repricer was probably for like 2-3 years or so on Amazon. Like there either weren't any or I just didn't know. So it was like the learning curve back then was just so different. Like because I see like Amazon now, this is cool. Like being at the Miami event really freaking inspired me. Like to see all these kids. Like there were some kids that were 17 years old selling more than me.
Yeah, Brian and Jake and Billy, all those.
And
guys.
like that, like see like a lot of kids your guys' age, mid-20s. Like the vast amount of knowledge is there. Like to see like the majority of you guys are crushing me, and it's like I like got like it's like because there's so much information out there and you guys took advantage of it, and like I was like old stubborn man in my old ways. Like I literally didn't start using Keepa until like a year and a half ago, until my friends were like, what the heck, what's wrong with you? You're not even.
That's how Cody, if you know Cody does Amazon, that's how he was too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so like just to see all you guys crushing it like this, and it's like what is wrong with me? Like like not using all these tools we have available, and like me being the stubborn old guy, like, oh, I don't need that, blah blah. Like I've really opened up to like accepting things and actually like learning more and like stop being stubborn. Like I was all toys for like all of this, and like now I'm starting to get into other things. I've been doing some online shoe flips, which is like completely out of my comfort zone and different. So like just being around all of you guys, like just the young people doing this, like crushing it, like using VAs and stuff. Like I was stubborn with that, not wanting to use a VA or even a prep center. I literally was like, you can't trust those guys. You're gonna mess something up, blah 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 blah. And I started using a prep center 2 years ago, and it's been amazing for growing my business. So those are probably the 2 main differences, definitely.
All right, amazing. Hey, well, we really, really appreciate this. Was a lot of fun, especially
thank you guys.
Amazon stuff. Yeah, that's really good stuff. So we really appreciate you for coming, all that, and hopefully, we can get together for a YouTube video or something sometime and all that. But yeah. So Jamison's Instagram will be linked below and everything. We hope if you guys appreciate, you guys go let us know in the comments and all that, and we will see you guys on Friday for another episode. Thanks so much.
Awesome, appreciate you guys.